Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a few of the bigger changes coming to patch 7.2 and kind of take a look at which champions could get stronger and could get weaker for this coming patch. Now, right now on the PvE, there's some pretty much needed nerfs to Redemption as well as to Courage, and there's also some pretty interesting buffs here to lethality and to a few of the lethality items that could make a few of the assassins pretty strong in this coming patch. So with that being said though guys, let's get started. So the first change I want to take a look at here is to lethality. Now what they're doing to lethality for this coming patch is they're changing it around to where in the early game it's now going to do a little bit more damage than what it would do right now on live servers. So the armor pen ratio at level 1 is now 60% and it was 40% before. So this is going to make a few of the assassins who are going to be building lethality in the early game quite a bit stronger for this coming patch. And then along with lethality getting buffed, Duskblade and Edge of Night are also getting buffs in 7.2. So the way that Duskblade's getting changed is the damage on it is going up to 75 from 50, and that's without any cost increase at all. So that's actually really good, 15 extra damage, and you're not paying any extra cost for that. And then Edge of Night is getting a change to where the cooldown on it is getting reduced from 45 seconds down to 30 seconds. I don't think this one is really going to matter too much though, because when you use Edge of Night, you usually use it when you're trying to 1v1 someone or when you're trying to enter a team fight, and the cooldown on it is usually going to be up like every time you're going to look to do that, because let's say you go to 1v1 someone, you assassinate them, they're going to be dead for like 30 seconds or something. So by the time you want to like get back into a fight or assassinate them again, it's probably going to be up anyways. So it is a nice buff for sure, but it's not really going to like be the main reason to why assassins would get stronger in this patch. Okay, so with those changes out of the way now, let's take a look at a few champions here who are going to get stronger in this coming patch. So for AD carry champions, I think that the best AD carry who is going to benefit from these changes is Misfortune. So right now Misfortune, she still does go for that armor pen build, so because they're buffing it, it's just going to make her even stronger in this patch. I feel like Youmuu's into Black Cleaver and then like Duskblade, or you might even like rush a Duskblade on MF in this coming patch. I'm not completely sure, but I feel like the armor pen build is just going to be really good on her, and she is going to be a top tier AD carry for 7.2. And then two other AD carries who will get a little bit stronger but not as strong as MF are Jhin and Draven. So Jhin, he usually does still go for like a Youmuu's, or some people do go Youmuu's first item on Jhin. A lot of people do take lethality marks on Jhin right now. A lot of the pro players are taking that on him, so his early game is definitely going to be stronger in 7.2. I feel like we might see people go back to maybe building armor pen Jhin in 7.2. I feel like crit Jhin is still probably a little bit better, but we'll have to wait and see. These are definitely some pretty good buffs to lethality Jhin though, if that's the way you want to play him. And then as for Draven, a few people right now are going for Youmuu's on him first item. Other people are going for like a lot of crit on Draven, just like a full crit build. So it does depend on which build you go, but if you do build like a Youmuu's in the early game, then this buff to lethality is definitely going to make his early game pretty strong. Now with Duskblade getting buffed, lethality and Edge of Night also getting buffed, this could be a really nice just rise in power to Talon and Zed in the mid lane. We really don't see any of these two champions, or at least I haven't seen very much of Talon or Zed after they did get their changes. So these changes are definitely some very good indirect buffs to them, and we could see more of Talon and Zed in 7.2 because I think that with these changes they will get quite a bit stronger. Now, as for the top lane champions that are going to get stronger with these changes, I'm definitely kind of worried a little bit if these changes do go through, because two of the strongest top laners, or two of the strongest early game top laners here, are basically getting indirectly buffed, being Jace and Pantheon. Those two champions benefit from lethality quite a bit, and they are already building lethality in their build right now before these changes. So if these changes do go through, their early games are going to be even stronger now, and I can't really imagine like Pantheon with an even stronger early game. If he does go for like a Youmuu's build into an Edge of Night and just full armor pen, then he's going to deal so much damage in the early game. Jace also doesn't have any nerfs lined up for 7.2, and because he does rush Youmuu's almost every single game, then these buffs are definitely going to help him out as well. So if you are like a Jace or Pantheon player, or you haven't been playing them recently but they are in your champion pool, then I would recommend picking them back up for 7.2. And then in the jungle, a few champions that will get stronger. I think the best champion here would be Rengar, because a lot of players, they are going for like a Youmuu's and a Duskblade and a lot of armor pen on Rengar in this patch right now. So especially with that buff to Duskblade, I feel like that item will become a lot more core on Rengar, and we might see like a lot more lethality Rengar instead of like the kind of off-tank Rengar that is being played right now. And then for Graves and Kha'Zix, both champions also do build quite a bit of lethality, so they will get stronger in 7.2 as well. And then two of the other bigger nerfs in this coming patch are to Courage and to Redemption. So first up here, the change to Courage, it's more so targeted at the champions that are building Courage or that are taking Courage right now, but aren't going to be building a whole lot of HP, because what they're doing is they're reducing the base shield on Courage. So right now on live servers, it's 10 to 180 depending on the level, but they're kind of gutting it for 7.2. It's going to be 3 to 54 depending on the level, and then obviously you still do get like the plus 5% of your maximum health per enemy champions nearby, but they are also reducing the shield duration on it from 4 down to 3 seconds. So overall, I think the changes to Courage aren't going to completely push it out of the meta or anything, but I think that a few champions right now that are taking Courage that aren't really building a whole lot of HP in their build, they will probably get a little bit weaker in 7.2, or they'll just stop taking Courage and they'll take something like Thunderlords or Fervor. So for example, Riven right now in the top lane, she's taking Courage, but with your build on Riven, you're not going to be building her like full tank obviously, so Courage is going to be quite a bit weaker like on Riven in 7.2 due to the fact that the base shield on Courage now is reduced. But overall, for the champions that can still abuse it and can still use it, that will be building tank, this probably will still be the preferred keystone for those champions. And then the final bigger change coming to 7.2 is to Redemption. So they're lowering the health on Redemption from 400 down to 300. They're increasing the mana regen on this item though from 75% up to 125%. Now with both of these changes, I can see this kind of being like a nerf to the tankier champions that are building this item. So for example, someone like a Thresh or a Blitzcrank or Nautilus, those champions who are building this item are going to take a bigger hit for sure than someone like a Janna or a Soraka, because the Janna and the Soraka, they're definitely going to benefit more from that mana regen than someone like a Thresh is or a Nautilus. So I feel like they're kind of trying to make this item more so that people are only going to build it on these like heal and shield supports and not on like every single support champion in the game. And then lastly, the active on it is also getting a nerf, which is really no surprise here. I think this is probably one of the main reasons to why Redemption is so strong right now. So what they're doing to it is they're reducing the base heal from 130 down to 40, and at first glance you would think that that's a super big nerf and Redemption just got gutted, but if you do take a closer look, they are increasing the scaling on it from plus 20 per level up to plus 25 per level. Now I did do the math for this, and at level 10 on live servers right now, if you do have Redemption, then it's going to heal you for 330, but in 7.2, if you have this item at level 10, it would heal you for 290, so that is only like a 40 health decrease, and I don't really think that's going to completely push Redemption out of the meta or anything. I still feel like it's going to be a good item, but it is going to be a little bit weaker like on those tankier champions because they are reducing the health on it. But on the champions like Janna, Soraka, Sona, this item is still going to be very strong for sure. And then one other smaller change here is to Knight's Vow. Now this item, it really isn't bought very often, but I feel like it is a very strong item. It's definitely pretty underrated. The cost on it is getting reduced from 2,400 down to 2,300. So with them nerfing Redemption for the tankier champions and with them buffing Knight's Vow, I feel like we might see like those champions like Nautilus or Leona, they might go for a Knight's Vow now instead of Redemption in the early game. We'll have to wait and see, but that's definitely a pretty nice change here to those champions like Taric, Leona, and Nautilus who would build the Knight's Vow. So those were really the only changes I thought were worth noting in this video. There are a few other champions getting nerfed and buffed in 7.2, but the changes aren't very significant, and I don't think the changes that they're getting are really going to make them that much stronger or that much weaker. So we're not going to be taking a look like at a specific champion for this video. But with that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.